Okay, welcome everyone to the Wednesday recovery coaching call. And my name is Omar. I am your host. Tori is the co-pilot. And last week, we talked with Tree Life a little bit about, one was about the bandwidth. And I think it was about, what was it specifically we touched on, Tree Life?
More or less, I was spreading myself too thin and doing nothing in my recovery.
Perfect.
And you use the analogy because my internet kept cutting out, and that's how you came up with the ideology of bandwidth.
It makes all the difference in the world. It's a great analogy because you know that everyone in today's climate, since the pandemic hit, everyone's online. So you're either having a good experience online or you are having a bad experience online, plain and simple. And one of the ways that you enhance your experience online is simply by increasing your bandwidth. There's one simple way of creating manageability in your life. So what have you been able to do this week?
Well, I know that we set a goal to try to do 7 to 7 days of a morning routine.
That's right.
Granted, I did the routine 7 out of 7 days. It wasn't always at the ideal time frame.
But you did it.
But I did it.
That's all that matters.
So I did 7 out of 7 days of meditation, yoga, eating a breakfast, and walking my dog.
And did you notice anything different or anything that's changed in life because of it?
I mean, I think there's always an underlying factor of clarity when I practice meditation and yoga frequently. It's just easier to process thoughts.
It sure is. Easier to process thoughts. And so clarity from practicing meditation. So usually when I have a little bit more clarity and it's easier for me to process thoughts, there's a general sense of other feelings. So what were you feeling throughout the week? Now, with the clarity and the easier to process thoughts.
I mean, it gave me hope. I mean, and I guess it kind of started to reinstill my faith. I know that it brought into me a process that this is a really a one day at a time thing. And I know that. So I guess, it was kind of humbling as well. It's motivating. I accomplished something that I've been wanting to do. Even an active addiction, I still wanted to start my day off with yoga and meditation and walking my dog and all those things, but I'm an active addiction, so that doesn't really work out so well. But like for this week, I really took it easy on myself. Like that was literally my goal for the week. If I did my morning routine, then my day was successful, and anything after that was just a bonus. And I'm not even gonna lie, there were definitely several days where after my morning routine, I just laid around and didn't do much. And for me, being a person my mind just goes a million miles an hour, and I want to be so productive and do so many things. Those were turning, but I was like today was successful. I already accomplished my goals. If I come here today and I say, hey, look, I still want to do another 7 out of 7 days. Maybe I want to apply an hour or two per day with that, working on editing my work or making new work or whatever. So really just
Bandwidth. It's very important. Come back. He's probably going to get a chuckle out of it, as it's kind of part of the deal. All right. So
Residually adding on.
Okay, you're back. It froze for a minute there. You back,
We're
buddy?
still struggling with the bandwidth. Yeah, I'm still struggling with the bandwidth, man.
All right. But you had a good week.
I did have a good week, man, and you called me out, and I like a good challenge, man.
And really, that's really all it is. It's this, I want to feel productive. And so really it boils down to, what does that mean to me? What does it mean to be productive? Does it mean I work 12 hours a day, 6 days a week? Does it mean I miss lunches? Does it mean that I don't sleep? Like, there has to be this idea of, what does it mean to be successful? What does it mean to be productive? And when we give ourselves realistic goals and objectives, and we're able to accomplish those, it changes how we feel. Like, there was nothing in here where I was waiting for the negatives. No negatives came. Even if I didn't do anything,
yeah, I mean, negatives.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I mean, negatives always happen, you know, like I got into an argument with my mom, you know, I mean, that's never healthy. You know, but I think ultimately the positives of the whole week just outshine the negatives, you know. It was easy because I accomplished my daily goal every single day. And when I went to bed, I knew that I accomplished what I wanted to do for the day.
Okay, so there's so many great takeaways from this. We are literally not even 10 minutes into our call. And for those of you that are listening to this, especially those that are listening to this on a podcast, there's here about self-care and feeling productive. So one of the things that I like that you said was, I felt accomplished because I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. And so there are those of us that get caught up in trying to accomplish what other people feel we should be accomplishing. That we are doing the things that we feel that we should do because of this, and we should do because of that. And my day wasn't because of this, and I should have done that. Instead, when you're clear about what you want to achieve in a day or a week, you accomplish those tasks. Everything else is a bonus. Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, you recognize, wait a minute, I made this choice. Like, for the first time in my life, for some people, depending on where they're at, they were finally, you're finally able to make decisions for yourself. And it feels good. Like, I'm doing something that I want to do, not something that somebody else wants me to do. That feel about right?
Absolutely. And, and I think especially, I mean, as an addict, I spent so much of my life making poor choices and just going and doing things that people wanted me to do. I have to get a job to pay my bills and my debts and everything else that requires life's demands, and I feel like sometimes, because I'm living with my parents right now, it's my living situation. But I feel like they're just kind of like looking at me on the side of like, do something with your life. And I'm like, realistically, I am. Like, I'm sitting in groups like 3 hours a day. Like, I set a routine. Like, for me as an addict in recovery, like, my hard work is healing my brain and my soul. Like, and right now, if I don't have enough bandwidth to go clock in at a job, and that's not conducive to my rehab or my recovery. And I was talking with my therapist about this. Like, sometimes I don't feel like they see the hard work I'm doing because it's not really always noticeable on the outside how far I've grown inside of my soul and my brain. And it's vigorous hard work that does not stop. And like this week, like I said, like, productivity on the outside ain't shit really happened. But on the inside, there was a lot of work that was obtained this week, and I take that away. And I don't really have to prove that to anybody but myself. Like this is my recovery, and I've known that this is my recovery. And for the first time in my life, like you touched on, like I have choice, and I made the decision to get sober, and I had to continue to make choices to, stand with that decision.
Dude, solid. A lot of takeaways here, especially people in early recovery. What happens, unfortunately, and it's just really just kind of where we're at as a culture in many cases, is this inability to communicate effectively where we are at, what we want, what our wants, needs, and desires are. So right now I'm going to use the word we. I'm going to use the we term because I feel like it is part of the global dilemma around anyone who's struggling with something. For example, someone who's struggling with some sort of an addiction, like alcohol, drugs, food, whatever the case may be. There's a lot of unmanageability and a lot of wreckage that goes along with that. So in many cases, the family members that are affected on the outside are trying so desperate to help the person who's struggling, the person who's struggling, that all the focus, all the energy, everything is about how do we get them help? How do we get them sober? What do we got to do? Let's get them in rehab. Let's get them to these meetings. Let's call so-and-so. Hey, can you help? And then it happens. Finally, something works. And they're like, oh my God, okay. I think maybe this time it took. I think maybe this time they're going to be okay. And so at first it's almost like, hey, how you doing? Everything okay? How's things going with the therapist and your meetings and this and that? And then 30 days go by and 60 days go by. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, so now what are you going to do with your life? And there's all these bills that are due. And, you forgot this responsibility. And hey, you got to take care of the kids now, right? Like I've been taking care of the kids and you for the last 2 years. So, it's time for you to step up, right? And it's like, wait a minute. Easy does it. And I've had to kind of you have to almost slow down the people around you to go, hey, listen, easy does it. And one of the things we're not taught is how to stand up for ourselves and how to communicate effectively with our loved ones to kind of let them know, hey, listen, I'm on the right path. I'm on the right track. It's all inside work that I'm doing right now. I'm going to 3 meetings a day. I'm doing my step work, right? I'm meditating, I'm praying, I'm journaling, I'm walking the dog, right? Because humans, the meat suit, the way that they view success is with results. And in many cases, those results include a dollar amount. So you could be doing all kinds of amazing internal personal development work. But after 6 months, it's like, oh, he's locked himself in the basement and he's wasting his life. Now he's just watching videos instead of getting high. So at some point, this is where we have to learn how to effectively communicate with the ones we love and let them know, hey, listen, we push this envelope too hard. Okay. There isn't a perfect science for this, but I do know that a strong emotional foundation is needed for me to effectively go out into the world without any worries about picking up or getting high. Anxiety, overwhelm, depression, fear, overwhelm, pressure, stress. These are not taken into consideration. And many times when we're pushed against the wall, we're unable to effectively communicate. Am I making sense? Is everyone following along so far? All right. Eric's like, no. All right. No. Everyone's following along. Right. It is a problem. So, and that's why these groups are so important. So I can go, Tree Life, first of all, congratulations on your strong week and your strong win. And most importantly, your attitude. Like, it's changed. I can feel your energy is different on this call than last one. I've got this feeling of hope. I feel like I'm moving in the right direction. Right? I'm finally making decisions for myself. And you were able to go from where you were at last week into a much more positive direction just by simply deciding to do the things that best suit you, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
It's the win.
It is. And a lot of what you're touching on, especially with the healthy communication, is just being able to establish healthy boundaries in these relationships, and for me, confrontation is very difficult. It's a very hard task. Because anytime I'm like, hey, let's talk, I'm like, oh, fuck, what's going on? Uh, Something's got to be talked about, but realistically, when you have those big talks, there's always relief. There's always the pressure valve is always opened up and the steam is always let out, whether it's a good outcome or a bad outcome. Like, you have that talk and that valve is released. And that's it's difficult because I'm so accustomed to the fear of addiction, and stuff like that. And like, yeah, it honestly just comes down to me, I've failed significantly every single time I've gotten healthy in communication. With communication, in communication, and everything. And I've always thought it was corny. Like, man, I'm feeling in some kind of way. Let me just call somebody. And like, what can they do for me? But they can distract my brain long enough to not think about it. They could tell me jokes. They could tell me a story. They can tell me about their day. All of these things. I'm like, oh, that was a good half an hour wasted. What can I do now? Like, not necessarily wasted, but a good half an hour deterrent. Even with that, that's a tool. But even just coming to the people who are in my recovery, who I'm like, look, man, like, we got to do a little bit of pushing and shoving together. And I feel like the biggest conflict with my mom, is that she still wants to be in a suit and tie position. And my teammates stand on the sidelines, and if they need to come in and help me, they can. And then everybody else is just a peanut gallery. And so I think that's my biggest struggle with the people who want to still have a say so or try to make the best decisions for my life, because in their perception, they think that's what they want and is best for me. And, I haven't learned how to deal with stress healthily yet, and I haven't learned how to beat, all of these incredible feelings that trigger relapse, because I haven't been strong enough in my recovery to test those waters yet. And I mean, I just got out of ILP, and one of the things that I never really understood was that when we actively use, there's obviously the dopamine and serotonin spike levels and stuff, but when those dopamine levels always spike so high, after a certain amount of time, something has to bring it down, so the brain starts producing stress. And so when we have stress pushing against our dopamine levels, it becomes a trigger. So when we stop using drugs, we just have this massive straight line of stress going on in our brains, because we've basically asked our brains to give us a shit ton of stress to help with this overwhelming high in our brain. And we take rid of that chemical of the high, your brain's still producing a shit ton of stress. And so to me, learning how to deal with that stress in a healthy manner is a challenge. And I feel like the best counter to that, as I said last week, is a solid morning routine. Because those are my first 3 or 4 wins of the day. And then, when I get to a point where I am strong enough, I can be like, okay, cool, I did my routine, and now I can start making my money to pay the bills, because I'm comfortable here now. I can withstand a little bit of stress. I can be overwhelmed. I have enough tools in my back to pull out and use in these situations. But right now, I'm fragile, and I know that. And I'm not ashamed of that at all. Like, I want to get better, and I know that that's a vulnerable, quote unquote, ugly process. But shit, man, it's a beautiful journey, and I'm willing to take it.
I don't know about the rest of you guys, but was that effectively communicated? That was clear as fuck. Thank God we recorded this. Go back, re-listen to it, deliver that same message to your mother with the strong close. That's really all it is. Somewhere in here, you felt comfortable enough to express yourself perfectly. You know what's going on with you better than anybody. But as soon as you're face to face with your mom, it's like, you just don't understand me, man. Right? And so that's all that comes out. Instead of this very beautiful, eloquent explanation of what's going on inside of you based on statistical analysis, which is very clear and concise. A big part of it is just having enough confidence in yourself to deliver the information that you already know. That's all it is. It's your truth. Well done, buddy. Well done.
Thank
so
you.
What's the plan for this
Thank
week?
You. Another 7 and 7. I might set myself an alarm. Just to get that consistent wake up and do it when I need it to be done, because there's a certain hour of the day that I like to get in and start. I don't like starting my day at noon. It's not, it's all right if it does, but I would rather get in and start around 9:30 or so when a couple productive hours. And I would like to start working on my own, like we touch base on that, because it's another outlet for me to learn how to become a better human being. And so it's another resource that I need to start using every day. Every day. I have to start using it every day to heal. I love my job. I love my work. I love my recovery. And it's beautiful that I get to make it a reality, man.
Beautiful. Let's keep this going. So I love the idea of just adding one more thing, which would be the alarm. I'd say if you want to add anything else, it's a bonus, like, the newspaper, or even the idea of having a conversation with your mom. But setting the alarm so you start creating that consistency is going to open up more space throughout the day to tackle the next project you want to get to. But I love the easy does it, because if you get that done, if like this week you got it 7 days, and then next week you can go, okay, I'm going to set my alarm and get up at this time every day. And then you're able to get up on time and do the morning routine. That's 2 wins. Then we can work on 3 wins for the following week. It's just about that, creating that nice confidence. Feel good?
Yep, I like that. Yeah, my bite was probably too big. I like your bite a little bit better, and I've seen that Tori zipped in here that I get to start hosting meetings Saturdays at noons, and I'm incredibly stoked about that, because I want to get into recovery coaching in my world. I just gotta build up my bandwidth, but yes, I'm incredibly excited to be able to host meetings on Sobriety Engine on Saturdays for sure.
The man. All right, guys. Applause for Tree Life. I love where this is going. Little wins. Little by little, a little becomes a lot. Eric, you're up.
Yeah, well, I guess just a couple things. First, my dad's an alcoholic, so luckily that helps some, because my mom went to Al-Anon, and she tells me all the time, like, how hard it is for her to release control. And I think that's probably one of the same thing, Travis, that your mom is, that she sees all this stuff happening to you and she wants to help you as much as she can, but she can't control you just like you can't control the alcohol. But that's something like they don't understand at all. And if you told them that, it's hard. Like my mom's been going to it for 20 years, so she understands a lot of that stuff that, that she can't do anything. And a lot of it's up to me. She can't push me to do it. She can't, all she could do is be there to support, but that's hard for a parent to, just want to stand by, and just be on the sidelines. They want to be in there and helping you in the game. And so that's hard to, to relate to him. So I guess I'm lucky that my mom has that experience. And the other thing with the morning thing for me, I just think of it as like a snowball, like each little win you could get in the morning. Like that's why like they talk about making your bed in the morning, even though it's such a little small thing. It starts going the other way. When you don't wake up on time, you forget this, you forget that, you're already starting behind, and then trying to get forward in front of that seems a lot harder to do. But I was in the same position as you. I got the first time I got sober, I didn't quit my job. I didn't do anything. I was working 10 hours a day, 5 days a week, going to treatment after work for 3 or 4 hours in an intensive outpatient program, and doing community service on the weekend. And by the time I got through with everything, it was just like I was just blasting through all of it. I didn't have an opportunity to actually sit back and take anything in. I was just plowing through it all and checking the boxes and doing whatever I was told to do. And, the results of that was that I didn't get as much out of it as possible. And now, I lost my job. I lost a lot of things, but I'm spending time in recovery and doing it and not trying to push the envelope and not trying to put too much on my plate, because I know I've done that before. And when I put too much on my plate, then I get stressed. And then, of course, my default is I'm going to go use drugs. So I can't let myself get that stressed out. That's all I got.
Thank you, Eric. Well said, buddy. Well said. All right. Who's next? It's a great topic. And there's a lot of topics. Effective communication, setting boundaries, morning routines. Or we can give a little more support to Tree Life. Who wants to chime in?
Hi, I'm Shelley.
Hey, Shelley.
Hi. I know, when I first got sober, I lived with my mom and I'm 52. How sad is that? But
I feel your pain.
yeah. Definitely, she had a very hard time letting go of all of the things that she had taken care of for me for a long time. And I really didn't grasp, everything that she had to do for me. I have 2 children, and, she pretty much took care of them, and did most of the big things for me. And it was really hard for her to let go. And then when I started feeling better, and, that was a good, 6 months into recovery before I really felt like, I could handle it. I could start doing things again. And I had a really hard time because I feel like she's trying to control my every move. She's, not letting me be a mom. She's, taking away all of those things that I need to do now because I'm sober. And to be honest, it's been almost 2 years and she's still sometimes, not as often, will try and take back control. but once again, you were talking about effective communication. I feel like I am in a better spot to effectively communicate to her that I can do it. That and it's not just communication, it's the continued sobriety. It's 2 years of sobriety. It's 2 years of, I have to go to a meeting right now, and I'll be back in an hour. And, it's 2 years of action showing her that I can do these things. And my kids, that they trust me enough to show up and do what I'm supposed to do, and get things done. And, and it's really cool. Like one day it's like you've done it before they even ask, before she even asks me, did you do this? It's like, yeah, I did that, that's done here. And those things have made it easier. And our relationship has gotten better because, yeah, I was diagnosing her, at like year one. I was like, you were so codependent. You need to go to Al-Anon, and and what an asshole thing for me to do. It's like, I'm judging you after everything that I did to you, and she's my mom. If it had been one of my girls, I would do the same thing, and so I'm not, trying to, defend, anything, and I really don't know, what's going on in your life. But definitely, I think the thing with me is it gets better, it does. Eventually, it just gets better. You communicate better, your actions will show that you're getting better. If I get depressed, my mom's like, are you okay? Are you all right? It and like I said, I've stayed sober, so that showed her that yeah, I'm okay, and I'm gonna make it. So that's all I got on that subject, I guess.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thanks for sharing, Shelley. And I think it's very important. Time takes time. We've heard that cliche a million times. Time takes time. And if we think about what our loved ones have gone to, and we have some compassion and some empathy, some understanding for what they've been through, yes, I want to effectively communicate with them where I'm at and what my goals are, what I'm trying to accomplish and achieve. But it's also this idea of recognizing that with time also comes effort and action, like Shelley was talking about, right? And so if I'm going to 2 meetings a week, if hey, I've got to go to my meeting, hey, I'm staying sober, at some point it just clicks. At some point they just go, maybe she's just sober now. And then the pressure slowly starts to come off. But time takes time. What we don't lose sight of, or ideally, is that in this stage of the game, just like we've heard before, my recovery has to come first. I have to come first. I have to be very, very selfish with my time and my recovery. And I've got to do everything that I can do to get myself to a place where I feel emotionally strong and confident to go out and go to the next thing, whatever that next thing is. But first, I gotta make sure that I am solid with my recovery.
Absolutely. I think, because I do, it's probably, some of these meetings are at probably very inconvenient times, but I have to do it. I have to go. It's part of, me achieving the goal of becoming a sober person and living a sober life and having all of these gifts that are in the promises, that I am able to receive them in a healthy way and continue to live in a better way. And yeah, so I got to go to a meeting, and my daughter will be like, Mom, do you have to go? Well, yeah. You like this, Mom? Yeah, I gotta go.
That's perfect. All right. I think we got Colleen. Thanks, Shelley.
I have a question about the time thing, and I feel like I can kind of answer it myself, but I'd like your comments. What I have been struggling with is allowing time to take time and trusting that I will wake up. I've been sober 6 months now, and then 6 weeks ago, I then discontinued my Adderall prescription. And so it's kind of a double sobriety, even though it was prescription for sure, whatever. So my brain has been put through the wash cycle and just kind of dropped into free fall. And I hear what you guys talk about the bandwidth, because I have felt like I haven't had any bandwidth, and I have felt this overwhelming guilt about taking time for myself. And I know that just saying this out loud, I'm supposed to be saying it to myself, but what I want someone to tell me is it'll be fine. Just let time take time, because it won't last forever. And if I knew that, okay, this is only going to take 6 months, like what Shelley said, like you said, it took you almost 6 months. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, so maybe I've not just fallen into some depressive funk that I'm never going to come out of. Because that's kind of what I felt like, is that I'm never going to go back to being the person that I was in terms of productivity and motivation. And I'm finding a whole new me, and I'm not sure I'm going to like that me. So then, and this is where I invite your comment, because I kind of can say that just this week, I'm starting to feel my brain come back online, and all of a sudden I got my notebook and I'm starting to make notes about what I'm going to do for my business, and I clicked into my website and did some updates, and I haven't even gotten on in months. So I guess maybe, Omar, the question is, how do you address giving yourself that time, with Tree Life, with having just those goals? I've allowed myself to do those goals of just doing my morning meditation and just making dinner for my kids and showering, and not drinking. That's my thing I'm doing today, is I am not drinking. That's a hard thing to count as an accomplishment in my brain. How do you trust that you are going to wake up and like the person that you are and be a better person, and that you're not just some new slug on a log?
That's a big question. Big question, because it had a lot of branches. Okay, so I'll do my best here. I'll do my best. But let's just use a different kind of example. Right? Let's use a different example. I like to use this example every time I can, because it's 2020. And right now we're right in the middle of a pandemic. And everything is different. Everything has changed. Everything is different. Everything has changed. And we have no idea what is on the horizon. There are some good things that have happened. There's some bad things that have happened. And we still don't know what's ahead. So how do we trust that we are going to even like the new normal? Can anyone answer that question? Would anyone like to attempt to?
What's the question? How do we adapt to the current situation?
Can I say
So, hold on, Shelley, hold on. I mean, Sheila, sorry. Hold on, I had Edwin. All right, Edwin, the question was, Colleen's making a lot of changes. She feels like she's getting her energy back after coming off of medications and coming off of alcohol. And so she feels like she's becoming a new version of herself, and she's not sure she's going to like the new me. So her question is, you know, is there hope that at some point she's going to feel good about the process or be happy with the newness? Or is she going to be able to trust in herself? There was a lot.
Okay, can I answer that with
Go
a
ahead.
question? How does she feel right now?
Oh, that's a good question.
Like today I had about 3 hours where I met someone for lunch and we brainstormed about business ideas, and I was very excited. And now I want to watch my show on Netflix as soon as we're done.
Okay, so the question is, how do you feel right now?
I would say I feel cautiously optimistic, but also like I've been around before and not sure. I feel cautiously optimistic but uncertain.
Okay, so there's a saying that there's two crucial points in every person's life. The first one is when you find out who you are, and the second is what you do about it. So one of the beautiful things is that we are actually the creators of our own lives. So I do know one thing, and there's a lot of things I don't know. One thing I do know is I don't want to go back to where I come from. I don't want to go back to the overwhelming fear, anxiety, paranoia, obsessive compulsive thinking, the harming of myself and others. I definitely know what I don't want. As I go through this process, I've defined and I've learned about myself a lot and figured out what it is I like, what it is I don't like. And in this process of recovery, I get to choose. I have that freedom, that ultimate freedom that addiction doesn't give me. Addiction just grabs a hold of me and doesn't let me move. In recovery with a higher power, and in a higher power's time, because I want everything and I want it now. I want to be a spiritual person and I want it now. And if I go through the process, if I allow the pain, and pain is a beautiful gift. I used to run away from it, and now I understand that it's one of my greatest motivators. Pain can motivate me to change the things that are causing me harm, or the things I don't like about my life or about myself. So in this process, in this pandemic time, I actually view it as a opportunity for me to look inwards and stop looking outside myself for things I don't need. Um, it kind of has forced me to do that to some extent. So if there's something I don't like, I know I can change it. There's tools, there's people, there's resources, and I'm free to choose that today. I'm free. If there's something I don't like about who I am becoming, I can change it. And I've been in that intersection many times. I've learned, like, there's a saying that knowing others is wise, but knowing thyself is enlightenment. And once you know who you are, you're able to define where you want to go. When you know who you are, you'll be able to say, this is where I'm at. Where do I want to go? So focus on right now, on where you are at right now. How do you feel right now? And and just going back to one of the things I was sharing with you guys, the future and the past are illusions. What we do right now, even if we plan something, that plan planning can only occur in the present. So if there's anything I need to do, right now is the time.
Bam. That was a mic drop moment. All right. Right. Okay. So there's a ton of information, but I want Sheila to go first.
Hey, y'all, I'm Sheila, alcoholic addict. Colleen, I understand the fear that you're going through. I can share my experience. Adderall was my drug of choice for a long time. And I got put in jail with a DWI. Even though it was Adderall, it was still fucking up my life bad. And I've been off that stuff for over 2.5 years ago because I quit that first. I just had to. It was killing me. I was at the point of wanting to jump out of my skin because I could hallucinate. I'd go absolutely nuts in my head. When I got off of it, of course, I got real skinny, so there was an eating disorder that went along with that. When I got off of it, I started gaining some weight back. And then I just didn't care because when I got sober, it didn't matter. I mean, I thought, well, it's going to come around when like it's supposed to. But I remember how scared I was that not knowing the future is the biggest fear that I have, the fear of the unknown. And I had no idea if I'd be okay. I just saw my probation officer a little while ago, and I like 8 more months going. And so I had 60 months to do this. And I just finished whatever, I can't think right now, but I like 8 more right now. And my life is incredible. My weight has become so different that I don't sit here and focus on that being the big thing anymore. I have more serenity and peace about me than I ever thought. The mere fact that I'm alive, and I don't know what Adderall did to you, but I just wanted you to know what it had done to me and the fact that you got off of it in August. I'm so proud of you. That is such a big deal. And you're so welcome to being here, and you're welcome to private message me anytime you want. And being afraid, I don't have children, but I think that you and I might have a little bit in common here. And if we don't, then that's okay too. But I wanted to share with you that you're not alone. Oh my God, you start getting everything back. Your life starts getting better, but this time it's with new glasses and you can see it more clearly, and you're going to be okay. If you stick close to us and don't get back out and doing those things, and you look at the causes and conditions that made you take that stuff to begin with, because Adderall is basic pharmaceutical methamphetamine. I mean, let's just call it what it is. Mm-hmm. And, my ADD was so mixed in with just being an alcoholic drug seeker that I don't know what was what. And when I got off of everything, I'll have 2.5 years next week. And that's a pure miracle. I mean, thank y'all. It's huge. My life is completely different, and you're pretty new here with the SRC. And let me just tell you, the spoiler alert, this place rocks. My life has become completely different, and AA is fine. NA is fine. I do all of that, but I can talk about the fucking shit that kills me, that I'm wanting to just scream and jump out of my skin. You can find all kinds of friendships around here, and I want you to have the things that I was given so freely, and it's yours to take. So I'm super happy you're here, and don't be so concerned about little things. Those things will all work themselves out, because they always do. But I sometimes forget that it's always going to be okay, and it is. So yay for you getting off that shit, because it could have gotten really, really bad. And I don't know your story, but I can tell you mine if you'd like one day. And that's all I've got. I'm glad to be here. Love y'all.
Fucking rock star. That was brilliant, Sheila. I give a fucking hand for that one. That was another mic drop. All right, Colleen, I want you to take a deep breath. One more. Come on. Deep. Go with me. Yeah. All right, now, I want you to pretend like I'm holding a snow globe. Okay? And I'm shaking this snow globe. And all the little snowflakes inside the snow globe are everything that's been shared since you asked your question. And now I'm going to set the globe down, and I want you to imagine all of those little snowflakes just settling down at the bottom as you process everything that was just delivered to you. What's coming up for you?
I've got two things. Started with Edwin's comment, what settles out there, and that is there's no going back. So if I'm scared about moving forward, a drink and getting up in the morning and popping an Adderall, I was so desperate to not do that anymore that I was willing to do anything, including quit. So there's no going back. And then from Sheila, I can see other people that have gone before me and know that even if I can't see the path, it's there.
Ooh. How does that feel?
Really good. Really good. Having people that understand. You know, I just joined the SRC, as Sheila mentioned, and I've been alone white knuckling this shit for 5 months. And I wasn't going back, but how long can you hold your breath before somebody like Sheila says, yeah, I've been there and done that, and you don't want to go back. So I'm moving forward at a snail's pace, being a slug on a log, but I'm moving forward.
You know what that slug on a log has? Peace.
Yeah. I've never had that before. It feels very strange and awkward.
Most of us don't know what to do with peace
No.
and serenity and wholeness, calm.
Yeah.
It's very unsettling. But what's interesting too is, and what I will always, because Edwin brought it up too, which is this time in our lives, in history, has been a call to go inward, to go inside, to go within. We have distractions all around us every day, from the moment you get up to the moment you go to sleep. Distractions are everywhere, and those distractions are there to prevent us from going within, because within are the answers, are truly the answers. If you are a slug on a log, then imagine the answers are within. And I just have to sit there and allow. Who else would like to go? It's powerful, powerful exchange here. So we're going to close with Colleen. So would anyone else like to make any other comments? Tough to follow Edwin and Sheila right now. I've had some mic drop moments. Corey!
Hey. So I just have a question for Colleen. So you went to this like business lunch where you're brainstorming and everything, and you're deciding, you know, all you want to do is like watch Netflix. Well, like what else were you going to do besides that? Like what else needs to be done? Like, can't you just watch Netflix, or what are you conflicted about doing right now?
I get anxiety because I'm a health coach, so I have a website. So today I decided I'm going to start a podcast, write a book, continue doing my online cooking classes. So I have all this stuff, and now I feel like I'm late for the party again. Like, you know, now I got to hurry up and write a book about my first 6 months of sobriety. And then, I mean, it's insane. And I know that it's like, I don't need to do that tonight, but I feel like I'm just wasting my time, and I need to hurry up and get all of that pushed out.
Do you think the brainstorming session like put you in that state where you're like, okay, and this and this and this and this, all of that? Like,
Yes. I mean, I'm a little like that. I'm a little 1,000 miles an hour sort of a person. So not being that way has been very foreign. But yeah, I just get really excited, and I don't like to kind of start slow, and it's hard to know where to start, what to do first. So I get anxiety.
yeah. Well, what do you normally do to wind down? Watch Netflix then?
Well, in the last six months, I haven't done anything, but before I would drink.
Right. Yeah, totally.
So that's kind of off the table now. And then I'd wake up in the morning, pop my little orange buddy, and whoo, go until I burned out at night. Yeah. So yeah, I'm learning that. Like, okay, watch Netflix, like that's okay. Walk my dog, that's okay. Maybe do some meditation. Maybe I'm learning how to take care of myself, which I've never done.
All those things bouncing around in your mind are probably good. They're good for brainstorming. They're probably good for that moment, for that session, right? But
Yeah, and I wrote them all
totally
down.
hear you. Yeah, and I totally hear you because I get the same way, you know, like, but then it's like, okay, well, how do I come down from this state now? Because it's all bing bonging around in my head, and it's written, and there's plans being made and everything, but it's like, okay, I can't really do a ton tonight with it, so what should I do?
Well, I like
So-
what you said there. I think that's the key, is acknowledging that I'm in a state, and it's a mental state. I'm not being productive in my head. I'm just anxious, except I'm calling it positive, but really I'm just anxious, and I need to bring myself back down from that state. No matter what I do, it is a state that I'm used to existing in, which is why I drank.
Yeah, man. I totally hear you and empathize. I get that way too.
Thanks.
Well,
It's like deciding you want to rehab your house and rehab your garden, and then like, well, it's time to get to work. Like, you can't sit around and think about that. You get up and do it.
Right.
But yeah, I'm going to yoga in the morning. I'll do my stuff and calm the hell down. Settle down, sister.
yeah, I'm going to have both of you refer back to my coaching with Tree Life. Please rewatch that whole coaching episode for reference and resources.
How do I even go back and watch that? Because I do want to hear all of this again. Is there like a link?
Tori,
place I can find
you got this?
Yeah. Hey, Travis. It'll be on Sobriety Engine tomorrow.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it'll be posted there.
Okay. All right. So what's beautiful here is that both Corey and Colleen, like Corey wrote, Colleen, I'm a slug on a log. It's like it's this being able to relate to the other one and recognizing where I'm at, where, man, I'd love to be a slug on a log. I'm already imagining where that log is, and there's probably a little river flowing right next to me, right? And I'm just kind of listening to the river flowing, and then obviously there's going to be some trees. So there's, on top of the trees, there's going to be some birds. I'm immediately sent out into a land of Zen and clarity and focus and calm and peace, which is a state that I am now more accustomed to, more used to. But I can also understand the old me was, what a waste of fucking time this shit is. I'm 5 minutes into meditation. I could be cleaning the kitchen. I could rebuilding the engine on my car. I could be teaching the children how to go to college. I know he's only 6, but I got to get him ready now. Oh, I hate to break it to you, ladies, and everyone here. All of that, they're all distractions. Every single one of those thoughts is a distraction preventing you from going within and finding peace, finding the answers of what you are truly supposed to be doing in this moment. Anything else, Colleen?
No, your whole, I felt like you were going to label my shit distractions. And I think that's my next step, is learning like what's coming from a place of being called and purpose, and just finding another way to distract myself. So that'll be next.
I got you.
You and your distractions.
Believe in yourself by saying you're a beautiful woman of God.
Okay.
Also, it's super hard because that inner work is not it's not measurable by normal productivity sticks. Like, you clean the kitchen, you do the dishes, now the dishes are clean. You know, like, everyone could see it, everyone knows about it. Like, her work is more unseen. So I guess that's
Corey, welcome
partially more
to the
difficult.
world of being programmed. That was a programmed belief system right there.
Completely.
I must clean dishes, show results. House is spotless. No time to meditate. That is unproductive. Must be productive. Oh, no. I will not stand for that. We go within. All right, guys. Mira, were you going to say something? It looks like you've got your finger on the button. No, you good? All right. Then we're at the top of the hour. This was an amazing, amazing call. We went all over the place, but ultimately, this is a call. I will remind you at this end, this is a call to go within. Take the time in the morning to start your day with intention. And whatever happens after that is a win. That's how you need to look at your day. So you can go bananas brainstorming and writing out every conceivable podcast and, website, and whatever thing that you want to create after that is just a bonus. But start your day off with intention. And the way to do that is calm, meditation, some exercise, some yoga, some journaling, something that just allows you to connect to source. That is how we're going to close. Hand for everybody. Amazing call. I love you all. And we will see you next Wednesday.